Hello and welcome back to another episode of CharlaFootball. I'm your host, as always, Gerardo Jerry Tavares. Of course, with Tomas Estrada. Tomas, we just got finished watching the second leg of the Champions League semifinals. How are you feeling after that? We watched the Bayern and the Madrid one. How are you feeling?
Hey man, feeling like I called everything, and it's something beautiful to bet on these games day in day out. Madrid's never let me down.
Stupid.
No,
I don't even think you bet for Madrid. Shut
I
up.
don't even like every time I bet on Madrid, I'm just surprised. Like damn, these guys just win every time. Whether it be the ref, whether it be the players, like it's crazy. I mean, the
They're
linesman. Hey,
always going to find a
look,
way.
shout out to the linesman. I'm giving 15% of my parlay to that linesman. For helping me out a bit. But hey, you got it done.
That's what we're gonna exactly like. Before we even get into the game, I think we have to address the elephant in the room. I think the main talk that's gonna be around the media for a few days was it offside?
He was offside completely. I mean, he was on. I mean, he was onside, but the ref called it offside, so he was offside, bro. And
I
I
don't
can't argue
know.
against that. Once he got money involved, I'm blind.
Stupid. No, I mean, okay, look, I was looking at ESPN FC's Instagram, right? They posted a picture, like a little still frame of it, and it looked like the lick's like toe was just a few inches off because there's the
He
like you know
moved.
how the grass, like the line the lines on the grass are like perfectly cut and you're able to measure it from there. The lid's foot was a lot closer than Rudiger's shoulder to that line. But it's hard to tell because it was kind of like at an angle.
I mean, the thing was like there was a fan that posted a perfect. I mean, I showed you, and we zoomed in
Yeah.
on it, and the furthest body part the lick had was actually like his right shoulder, because it
Mhm.
was kind of like leaning towards the run, and Rudiger's arm was out, so his shoulder like it was on side. But hey, man, once he got money involved with me, bro, he's off. I mean, he's off.
There's a lot of controversy over not letting the play go. That's the main rule right now in football. That's like the new rule that has been implemented in the past like year and a half or so, where if it's not as clear, you let the play go on until like the ball goes out of bounds or whatever, and then they look back at it. But the linesman was pretty sure that it was offside, so he raises his flag, the lit hits the ball into the net, and but the ref had already blown his whistle. So there's a lot of like talk about, well, since the ref blew his whistle, that's why the Real Madrid player stopped and Lunin didn't go for the save. But
They don't stop them.
yeah, but I feel like if it was the like, what if it was? I don't know. It's really hard to tell. I think that's one of those cases where the referee definitely messed up. I think you leave the play like that. They have been doing in all of Europe's top five leagues. They let the play go on, and in this case, but I don't know why they did it.
Hey, look, I've watched La Liga, Premier League, everything, whatever. We've been watching this like the whole season, and something that's been a regular thing is that, well, the ref will raise his flag, the play will go on, it'll end up in a corner kick or whatever, and the ref goes back to that offside. He calls it offside, and that's usually what happens. The ref just allows play to go, even though that flag is raised, because
Yeah,
it is
even like
offside.
we saw that today when Nacho scored his goal on the corner kick.
Yeah, I mean, he really let it go because I think it was Camavinga that the ref accidentally raised his flag on, where he thought he
Hmm.
was offside. I mean, like, how are you gonna? How is one linesman gonna say, "Oh, I think he's offside, so I raise my flag," and the ref lets play continue? They score. Oh, and it's given to VAR. It has a review, and it's a goal. But on the other side, the linesman raises his flag again, and now you call it like first time. Like you
Hmm.
don't wait for this play to end like you did prior, like maybe like 4 or 5 minutes prior. It
Yeah,
just makes
I think it was a definite mistake by the referee. Whether it was offside or onside, like the league said in his conference right after the game, he said that it could have been onside, offside. I haven't seen the review, and if they reviewed it, I think it would have been a different story.
yeah.
I think it was just a big referee like blunder. I think even he said that the referee had apologized to him, like sorry, it was my mistake or
Yeah, he
something
said
like
it
that.
was sorry. It was my mistake, and the league was just like that doesn't help me at all.
Yeah,
Which
like
then again,
it's,
which, which then again, like it's really not the lineman's mistake because we've seen it week in and week out that these linemen raise their flags because they to what they saw is out and offside. The central ref is the one that dictates to let play continue
yeah.
because at the end of the day, the ref interprets the game on the field, and he should have let this play continue.
I don't know why he blew the whistle, but yeah, that's the main controversy that we had to address the elephant in the room, like I said. But let's talk about the game overall. Going into the match, it was a 2-2 draw. They tied over in Munich, a game that Bayern Munich should have won if they wanted to at least have any hope of winning at the Santiago Bernabeu or going on into the final, because everybody knew for whatever reason, that's just how Madrid are when they play at home. It's so hard, especially in the Champions League, so hard for them to lose. Pretty much, they almost rarely lose. I don't remember the last time they lost in the Champions League at home. I also don't remember, like, now going to the final. I don't remember the last time they lost a Champions League final. So it's looking very difficult for Borussia Dortmund, but we'll get into that later. But going back to the game itself, a few interesting changes. We saw De Ligt going in, starting this time over Kim and Jay, who had a horrible game the first leg.
Yeah, I mean, De Ligt is just, I mean, he's class, man. I think it was like 4 out of 4 tackles he won, like a 90-something% pass rate. He was going crazy today. I mean, it was
the last minute winner, or what should have been the equalizer.
Yeah, equalizer. But then again, I mean, Kim and Jay was just terrible in that first leg, and that really cost them, because you put De Ligt over Kim and Jay. You know, let's say De Ligt was healthy that game. I mean, you see them scoring maybe one of those goals. Definitely, yeah. I really don't think Vinny gets him behind like that.
Because no, I agree.
He's a more disciplined center back. He likes to stay back and waits for really the defender the forward to come to him until he'll make his offensive move as a defender. And Kim and Jay is just poor and really cost them the
first leg, at least the first leg for sure, which kind of sucks, because Kim and Jay at Napoli, he was class. He was one of the best defenders in Italy. Yeah, and he comes over here to Bayern Munich, and I don't know if it's just the pressure of playing for such a large club. Could be that, or I don't know, but unfortunately, that's just how it is. De Ligt on the day had an amazing game. Honestly, it's sad that he didn't get that goal for himself, but I mean, it is what it is. Now, another player that also surprised me that was on the starting 11 was Pavlovic. I know he's been in and around the squad in the Champions League. I think he started only 2 matches in the Champions League this season. So to start his first game, well, not his first game, his third game at the Santiago Bernabeu, though, I'm sure that was nerve-wracking for the 20-year-old German player.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, but I mean, we were looking at his halftime stats, and he was doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think he had only one missed pass, right?
Like, was it like 55 passes completed out of 56?
Yeah, something like that.
And he was class as the center mid. He held the ball really well for Bayern Munich, and he maintained possession really well. The thing is, he starts over Goretzka, which I don't really see him starting. He's a great player. Both of them are great players. But the thing is that Goretzka has a lot more,
experience
and notion of the game. And to get on over Goretzka, is Goretzka injured? Was there an injury?
Maybe. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe Tuchel was looking for more legs, like someone that would be able to do like all that dirty work running back and forth. Because Pavlovic is a lot younger, he has the stamina to go all 90 minutes running back and forth like crazy, and we saw him do that pretty much.
I mean, he was cramping up like at the 83rd, 84th minute.
Yeah, but after he busted like a 70-yard sprint, of course, I mean, who wouldn't? But let's look at the first half first. It was pretty much all Madrid. They had a lot of menacing shots on target. Neuer coming up clutch. I think we saw prime Neuer today, besides the second half, which we'll talk about. But yeah, Real Madrid were just pretty much all over them. I think Bayern had like maybe one chance on target. Yeah. But once that second half started to roll in, we kind of saw something similar, but Bayern started to step up. Their line started to step up a little bit higher, and they were putting a lot more pressure on Madrid. And ultimately, they got the fruit of that when I think they were hitting them on the counter. It was a beautiful ball from Harry Kane, who was kind of silent today. Same thing with Sané. He was kind of all over the place, really wasn't finding himself throughout the game, looked really nervous in the beginning of the match. Yeah, Musiala, a few errored passes too. But Harry Kane on the day, he was class. You know, even if he didn't have too much involvement in the beginning, I think he had like that one shot. But that ball that he put out to Alphonso Davies who came on for Serge Gnabry, who unfortunately got injured again. I think it's like his 5th injury of the season. So you got to feel for that guy, because he's just plagued by injuries. But like I said, this Harry Kane ball putting Alphonso Davies through, and what a finish, bro. I mean, there's a reason he's the biggest Canadian out right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that Alphonso Davies has been doing for, at least this season, where he really went from that left back position all the way up to that left winger position, and he really surprised me, with that shot. I mean, a lot of us weren't expecting it. I mean, we were in a restaurant and everybody's kind of like just went into shock, like they were like, did he really just hit that worldly, like out of nowhere?
Especially because he's all left pretty much. I don't know how good he is on his right foot, but that was a fucking banger. You can't even deny that. I kind of stood up too when I was watching the game, and then all the Madrid fans, I suppose, they're all like pretty much quiet. They were shocked.
Yeah, they were like,
"What the fuck just happened?" Because in that moment, I think when Bayern scored, if you're a Madrid fan, I'm sure you were thinking like, "Shit, we missed like 5-6 chances. We're not clinical on the day," and that kind of was what happens in European football. Like if you're the team that's missing a lot of your chances and your opposition just scored one with the one main chance that they had, you're kind of thinking, oh, this is game over. It's just not our day. But with Madrid, it's just a completely different story. They have that never say die mentality. And we've seen this from them countless times. I don't know why I counted them out against Bayern Munich. I remember we made a podcast not so long ago saying that I thought Bayern were going to go through. And I just genuinely thought that just because I thought Madrid were maybe going to slip up, but we kind of saw that. But again, those last 10 minutes were just crucial. I think the most crucial part was Neuer. I think Neuer's blunder, even though he had an almost perfect game, just really fucked it up for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I mean, you take that 1-0 and you blunder that, you fumble the ball and you give it straight to him, so Selu to just tap it in and get back to square one.
Let's talk about Joselu real quick, because as soon as he came on, I remember what you said. You were like, "Oh, like this is game." You're like, "This game over for." It
wasn't even just me. You look at the Real Madrid fans around me, and they're like, "Why is he taking out Rodrigo?" Like they were looking at each other, like, "What the heck is he doing?" And then some guy he took his hat off, and it was just like this, like we lost. Like everybody thought that they had lost, and it's not. You can't even blame me for that. That's what everybody thinks about Joselu. He's just not a good enough striker to be at Madrid, and it's not what I say, it's what everybody around Real Madrid thinks.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of controversy about his move, but hey, on the day he came up clutch, he had to be there when Neuer dropped the ball. I don't know how he really did that. I mean, the ball from Vinicius, I think he took a shot. It wasn't extremely powerful enough for him to just like drop it. Like he had it in his grip, and then for whatever reason, it just like slipped out of his grip. I don't know what happened there, but Joselu taking quite the advantage on that. And then that second goal, I think it was coming off of a corner kick, right? I think it came off a corner kick or some sort of free kick. And the play opens up from Nacho on the left side from Nacho going into Rudiger. I thought it was Mendy, but it was actually Rudiger who puts in that low cross ball into Joselu. And he finishes it like any 9 would.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that a 9 should be able to do. And throughout the season, we didn't see it from Joselu. That's why I counted him out. But hey, props to him. He had a good game. He was able to put 2 away, and that's wraps.
And I really love his reaction, though. You can see how much it meant to him, and we talked about it during the stadium. Like, imagine how he's feeling right now, because I know there's a lot of people were basically talking lowly about him, and I'm sure we're probably questioning his substitution. But he shut up everybody like that, in just a snap of a finger. Literally, like what 6-10 minutes when he scored those 2 goals.
Yeah, I mean, it was really incredible. You could see the whole Bernabeu really falling to pieces once they received that first goal. And you look at the Bernabeu after they tie the game, it's just electric. Like the whole Bernabeu had gone silent for a good 7-8 minutes after receiving the goal. Joselu scores, the Bernabeu's electric. They get the goal, the Bernabeu's electric again. It goes silent when they're at the VAR review. And then they get the goal and it's just electric again. And Joselu, you see Joselu like sliding, like knee jumping, and like bro was going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, I would too. I mean, scoring the tying goal, and then the winner, when everyone's counting you out, everyone's talking badly about you, pretty much. I wouldn't even know how to react. But very well deserved. I mean, you can't really say much. You can't say that this was on the refs or this was, Bayern Sluice. I mean, Madrid it's a big club. There's no denying that they are the kings of Europe for a reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, now they're off into the final. But let's talk about Bayern Munich real quick. Those substitutions from Tuchel, very questionable, extremely questionable. And same thing with, I mean, just this terrible season. They've gone trophy. They're going to go trophyless all season, pretty much. This is the first time they're going trophyless since 2011, 2012. So it's been over 10 years, pretty much, since they've not won a trophy.
Yeah. Look, the thing with these tactics, with these defensive tactics, Thomas Tuchel isn't the first manager that came up defensively with defensive tactics towards like the last 20 minutes. It worked for Ancelotti versus Man City, where he took out Rodrigo and he put in Jose Lu, and then he takes out I forgot who it was, Vinny for Brahim Diaz, and then he takes out who was the left winger of that game? I forget, but he puts a center defensive mid in. So he switches his whole attack. Well, he refreshes his legs up top, and then takes one of the forwards and makes it as a more defensive player, which is okay because it worked out for him. But now you see Bayern Munich losing, and you're so quick to judge that, saying, "Oh, why did he take out all of his offensive players if he was only up 1-0?" The thing with that is that Bayern Munich was defending really well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a slip by Neuer that really opened up the floodgates for them, for Real Madrid. And now Thomas Tuchel looks like an idiot. But had it worked,
he would have been like a masterclass, right?
Yeah, masterclass. Everybody would have been praising him. Kim Min-jae, he brings Kim Min-jae on. Oh, Kim Min-jae locked up staying, or it would have been completely different.
Yeah,
it's really just these little mistakes that define football.
The little fine margins. Yeah, you're right. And let's just quickly touch on Bayern's just troubling season. They're in, I think, second or third place in the Bundesliga. They obviously got kicked out of the Pokal, and now kicked out of the Champions League. Like I said, it's been over 10 years since this has happened, where they're going trophyless in a whole season. And I know Thomas Tuchel's already out, but now who do you bring in? There's been talks of like Ralf Rangnick, Erik ten Hag, but that's already been confirmed that it's not going to happen. Like who really is the best to refresh the squad when Thomas Tuchel is probably one of the best managers in the market right now? You can't even deny that. He's taken PSG to a final. He's taken Chelsea and won the Champions League final with them, and he was just 20 minutes away from taking Bayern Munich to the Champions League final.
Actually, I mean, when does Madrid score in the 88th minute?
80th something. Oh yeah.
So he was really 3 to 4 minutes away from it, because if it wasn't for that goal, there wouldn't have been so much time added, and for the second goal, there wouldn't have more time added. Mm-hmm. So he was really close, man, and it's sad to see him go out. But the best coach for Bayern Munich right now is Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah,
they want to let him go, then that's on them. But there's really no other coach that you're gonna be able to find where your squad is struggling and still able to make it to a semifinal, where they're only 3 to 4 minutes away from winning it and qualifying to the final. It's the only way to do it. In
that case, where does Thomas Tuchel go? I know there's been talk about him going to Manchester United. That could be a possibility, but I don't know.
Thomas Tuchel needs a club where the board of directors will back him, wherever that may be. And Manchester United is not one of those clubs. I'm sorry, but they have a terrible board of directors. They just have a terrible influence up from the higher ups coming down. And Manchester United, if you're a coach, is a place to stay away from, for right now at least. I mean, we've seen that they've taken good coaches and they've just made them look like idiots because of what the higher ups want to do. Mm-hmm. So Thomas Tuchel, stay far away from Manchester United as you can. And the best club for him, in my opinion, would be, if he had to leave, I don't know, probably Liverpool. I can see him.
That'd be a good shout. I think they already confirmed they got Arne Slot, but that would have been a good shout for them.
That would have been. Liverpool would have been nice. Maybe Liverpool, maybe let's think of La Liga. Who would be La Liga?
Barcelona, maybe, because they don't have a coach.
Well, they have Xavi, no?
Well, you're right. Never mind. They have already confirmed that he's going to say you're right.
Thing is, with Thomas Tuchel, he's more of a tactician than of a team that has their own set style. And Barcelona is a team. Well, not even a team. It's a whole developmental system that has a particular style. He'd probably have to go to a Madrid, a team that doesn't have style, but that has a style that fits into his tactics.
Yeah, we'll see what he goes. Maybe he takes a Sabbath. That's also honestly pretty possible. I'd like to see him just take a little break. That's probably what he needs to after this I mean, I'm pretty sure the media is going to be crucifying him back at home. But anyways, now moving forward to the game yesterday, that kind of wraps up the Madrid Bayern Munich. Obviously, Madrid are in the final now, and they're going to be facing the winner of the PSG versus Dortmund game. We all know now it's Dortmund. Dortmund, who were just completely unlikely. Everybody thought either PSG was going to throw. I don't think anybody had Dortmund even getting to this instance in general, but they did it, bro. They're here. They're in the final. They play some of the best football, honestly, even better than Bayern Munich. I think they play better than Madrid too. And will it be enough to get them their Champions League? I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see. But let's just talk about the game against PSG first, because they went to the Parc des Princes with a 1-0 aggregate in their favor, having won at the Signal Iduna Park. And PSG, all they needed was one goal, pretty much. But I guess the tale of the story today was that PSG were pretty much unable to be clinical. Yeah, they were unable to be clinical. They weren't clinical when you have like one of the best squads in Europe, when you have Mbappe, Dembele, Bradley Barcola, Gonzalo Ramos, all these interesting young individuals who just couldn't step up in the moments in the moment that they really needed them.
Yeah, it's just something sad that's been always a PSG thing where it doesn't matter what type of player you get or where you get them from, they're just not able to perform at your club, and it has to be frustrating for this president. I forgot his name, but he just pours in so much money into
Nassar El Khelaifi. Nassar El Khelaifi.
Khalifi. Well, I'll just call him Khalifi. It's easier. So the thing is that everybody criticizes oil clubs, but obviously Saudi Arabians have a passion for football as well. And if what these smaller clubs at the moment, where when they got there, need is money, then obviously they're willing to provide that. Given since they love the sport, they want to put money into the sport. And it's just sad when you're held hostage by a Ninja Turtle. That's
you just called him up a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, jokes. They held hostage by Kylian Mbappe, paying him $300 million, euros a year.
And Kylian McFrappe or what?
Yeah, you just caught up paying him $300 million a season, and he doesn't have anything to show for it. He's playing mediocre in Champions League. Yeah, I mean he does well in Ligue 1, but
I'm gonna defer on the mediocre part, because he did play well up until I think this tie, pretty much. No, because I mean in the group stage he came up clutch. In the group stage he was clutch against Barcelona. He had his 2 goals, even though he was pretty quiet. But I guess in the moment they really needed him the most. I mean, we saw. I guess this is like the perfect image, that one shot that he had in front of goal. I think when Mats Hummels just gets a touch to it, that's like the perfect. He just lets it, he let this moment just completely escape from him. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not judging him on this season. I'm judging him on his overall career at PSG. He made it to a final versus Bayern Munich where he had the goal-winning shot, which is really similar to the shot that you're talking about against Mats Hummels, and he squanders it straight to Neuer, and now he does the same thing again. That's not a player that's worth $300 million a season. He's not even worth half of that, not even a quarter of that. I mean, there's players that are getting paid less. There's players that are getting paid less that are able to get this done. I mean, Fulkrug is getting paid way less than Mbappe, and he's able to get that done.
Mm-hmm. Came up clutch in the first leg for sure.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Mbappe, he's been coming up a lot of scrutiny. It would have been the perfect final, I guess, for him to face his future club, his parent club in Real Madrid, but it just didn't happen. Now he's going to go to Madrid. Either Madrid having won the Champions League, or they can, if they lose the final, then they can chase that together, their 15th title, depending on the result. But going back to the game with Borussia Dortmund, yes, we talked about PSG and all their mistakes and everything. There's no denying that there's at least one individual to me that really stuck out from this PSG squad, and that's Vitinha, the man who honestly, he was electric, he was lively, he was everything for PSG in the midfield, in attack, in defense. He was just literally everywhere on the park. And I mean, he had a shot that hit the woodwork. And we're going to talk about that too. I mean, how many times PSG hit the woodwork? That shit's just insane. I think they hit it 12 times this season. But going back to Vitinha, I mean, what a player, world class. I don't even think he should be at PSG. He should be somewhere else. where they're for sure going to win some trophies. But I don't know. What do you think about him on the day?
I think Vitinha was probably the best player for PSG, and I really don't think it should have been such a poor result for him in the sense that he wasn't able to put it away.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserves much more. He gave a lot for this team, and I mean, you see him tracking back 2 or 3 times, getting that ball forward, and really being their most pivotal man in attack. Although he has players that are better than him in senses that they're expected more. They're even getting paid a lot more than he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's their best player. I mean, he's really trying to lay out for this club. I mean, he hits the woodwork like what, twice?
Yeah,
He's
something
really
like
just, he was the player that was pushing the most for a goal, and the fact that he didn't get it was I wouldn't say unjust, but definitely
I mean, a little bit unjust.
he definitely deserved more.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
because football doesn't deserve justice to anybody. You know, if you score, you score. That's what it is.
I remember seeing a tweet yesterday. It was a picture of Mbappe and then Vitinha like in the background. It's like, oh, it's the world's best player and then Mbappe or something like that.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
talking about Vitinha saying he's like one of the best players for PSG, which I think on the day he just really was. He was the only one that really stepped up. That looked pretty much hungry. And also you got to feel for Luis Enrique. I mean, Luis Enrique, he's a world class coach, and I don't think there's any denying that with this PSG squad, with his own PSG squad, when he doesn't have to give in to Mbappe or the directors that are giving it to Mbappe, I think he can really develop something new to himself, to his tactics. So I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air when they get rid of Mbappe next season,
yeah, I
which is
mean,
really weird to say because like we know that he's an influential player. He is one of the world's best players, but to be saying that they need to get rid of him for them to grow, it kind of sucks. But for Luis Enrique and PSG, I think that's what they're going to need moving forward
yeah,
for sure.
Mbappe has just been underwhelming. He hasn't been a player that you can rely on in at least in the
Mm-hmm.
club sense. And if I was Real Madrid, if I was Florentino Perez, I would not buy him. You know, he's not a big game player. Why do I need him? I have the best big game forward there is right now. That's Vinny and
Mm-hmm.
Rodrigo. That's always backing, this club of this institution. I don't need Mbappe. Like he needs me. If he wants to come, I'll put him on a $15 million a year salary. If not, he could leave. He doesn't deserve the money
Do
that
you
he's getting right now. PSG.
do you think that the reason he's kind of been underwhelming and we see his performances, do you think it's because of he's basically distracted, probably already thinking about going to Madrid?
That could be a factor as well, but the thing is that he's not. If that's the fact that he's distracted, then he's not a professional.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know how to keep it professional. He doesn't know how to finish his job or how to finish his employment with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
He's just another unprofessional player that's really just all over the money, which is what he's been doing. He's been holding PSG practically hostage. We've seen it like he'll renew every 2 years, and at the end of the 2 year contract, he'll be like, "Oh, speculation for Madrid and all this," and then Al Khelafi will double his salary,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something they need gone because you saw Mbappe and you get like 3 or 4 world class players. So that's really what you're paying him $600 billion for a 2 year contract. I mean, $600 million for a 2 year contract. You get like 3 to 4 world class players with that money.
Or you could go to Brazil and buy like fucking like 10 players with that money, bro. Who knows?
Like 30 Hendricks, bro.
And now moving forward to Borussia Dortmund, who are in the final, like I said, they are just impeccable. I mean, they're really just amazing to watch. It's an amazing story. Everybody counted them out, including you and me. We didn't have them even getting out of the group because they were in the toughest group with PSG, with Milan, with Newcastle, and now look at them, bro. Who would have thought that meme, like that one meme? Who would have thought?
It was really surprising to see them get this far, not because they're a bad squad. No, it's not because they're a bad squad. We just didn't expect this coach to really come out with this plan where, yes, they don't have the players, but every player sticks to their plan and to their role. And you throw Marco Royce there into a sub, you refresh the midfield, and it's like they just started playing again. It's like if they're in the first 15 minutes where it just started, and it's something. Not dropping the tempo is something that's so important in football. Like, because you could start off strong and you get a goal, but if you decline slowly, the other team's gonna end up scoring one, maybe even 2 goals.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Borussia Dortmund is that they're able to get a goal in, okay, and maintain themselves defensively no matter what happens. Yes, PSG, some gaps open. They got a couple shots off, but there was no other clear shot other than that Mbappe one. And that's really shows you too how poised defensively they are, because you can't dominate a game the whole time. The other team will get their chances, but when you limit them to one, let's say Mbappe puts it away. Oh well, it's 2-1. We're still up. We're still
Or even Dembélé, where he had it kind of like in front of the goal and he just skies it over the bar.
Yeah, that one as well. But the thing is that
I think that one was probably more clear than Mbappe.
I told you this before the first game day. I said Borussia's gonna win, and then Borussia wins 1-0, and everybody was like, "Oh, it should have ended 3-3." I'm like, maybe it should have, but PSG's not scoring on Borussia in the 2 legs, and I told you that, and we got into a little argument, and then I was just like, they're not gonna score in the 2 legs versus Borussia, and then the second leg happens, and I told my mom the same thing, and she got mad at me, and I'm like, well, I'm not like don't get mad at me, get mad at
PSG.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, no, Dortmund, like I said, they've just been something. It's something incredible to watch. 2 players that obviously are standing out to me are the players that are once again going to be at Wembley. I think it's like 10, 12 years later. I think they were in the final in 2020, no, 2012, 2013.
2013.
So 2 players that were there then in Mats Hummels and Marco Reus once again are going to be here. But I think the most influential player, without a doubt, is Mats Hummels, because in defense, he's a rock. But in this game specifically, he came up clutch with that header.
Yeah, I mean, he was just... It's a header where you notice that there's 2 men on him that are much smaller than him, which is okay. That's completely fine. But if he's able to find, their weak shoulder and go around these players, on top of him being like 6'9", I mean, he's just...
Is he actually 6'9"? I don't think he's 6'9".
He's like 6'3", 6'4". But the fact that these players are like 5'8", 5'9" doesn't help, which is okay, whatever. Put 2 players on him, maybe that'll help for the height. But he finds your weak shoulder, and he's really behind both of these that are man marking him, both of these players that are man marking him, and he headers alone. It's just poor defensive by PSG, and Mats Hummels, he knows how to finish. He heads it straight down, making it difficult for the keeper to react, and it's in.
Yeah, he almost even had a second goal, the one that was called offside. He almost could have gotten that second goal too.
Yeah, as well. And it's something that's incredible, coming to the fact that PSG dominate this game in terms of possession and chances created. But the fact that Borussia could have gotten 2 or 3 more goals is really just shows you how they're so good at creating on the counter.
Mm-hmm. And that's something Madrid are going to have to be careful for, because I think Borussia Dortmund might be just a little bit more clinical than Bayern Munich this season. So we'll look at the final moving forward. But one last storyline I guess I wanted to bring up was the whole Marco Reus. So we talked about Mats Hummels. Now Marco Reus, who, like I said, was there back in 2012. I think that was his first official season with Borussia Dortmund. And he's back in another final at Wembley in his last final season with Borussia Dortmund. I think he might be going to MLS. That's kind of the speculation right now, since I think he has like a few more years left to play. But you see like all the players, and I think even Jadon Sancho came out in the interview saying that they're doing it for him, that the reason they want to win this final is to give him the perfect send-off, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be beautiful for Marco Reus, the person that suffered that 2013 loss. Which
I think he's just suffered throughout all his career, because he's always been a wonderful player, but he's just been plagued with injury.
I remember, during middle school, Marco Reus is speculated to go to Barcelona this season, or even Madrid was knocking on his door. Even Bayern Munich. I mean, Bayern Munich was tripling his salary at one point, and he said, "No, I'd rather stay at Borussia Dortmund," which is a storyline that's crazy. I mean, Lewandowski left practically. I think Emre Can left, right, at one point.
I think he left and came back. There was a handful of players that were at Dortmund, on that Dortmund team, that left for the money or for trophies. You got Lewandowski, Aubameyang, Gundogan, Dembélé, Hakimi. Just throughout the years, name a player. There's always been at least a top class player. Haaland. There's always been a top class player at Dortmund that have always gone to bigger and better things, I guess. But he's always stuck it out with with Dortmund, and I think that's what makes this story just a whole lot more beautiful, pretty much, because he's probably one of the most loyal players of this generation, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, in a generation where there's so much money being thrown in world football, and for Marco Reus to be at his because he goes from Borussia Mönchengladbach
Mm-hmm.
to Borussia Dortmund, and he stays there throughout his whole career. And to be that loyal, where you only have one transfer on your name, is really just unheard of. I mean, we had Messi for a while, but he ended up going to PSG. Then he went to Inter Miami. That's already two different teams. So Marco Reus deserves it. Borussia Dortmund deserves it. But football isn't about deserving. It's about going out there and taking what you think you deserve.
Yeah. Now, speaking about that, going and taking, do you think that Dortmund have a chance against this Madrid? We know that Madrid in the finals of the UEFA Champions League, they're pretty much deadly. Like there's no way they don't lose. I mean, they don't win. I'm sorry. So it's extremely hard to predict, because at the same time, if you are a football fan, you kind of want to see Dortmund win because they are the underdogs. And
Yeah.
who doesn't love a good underdog story?
Okay, I'm gonna base my game. I'm gonna base this game off of the game that we just saw, which was Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid. So a lot throughout the game, we saw Bayern Munich trying to get a counter on, and then they just give like a terrible ball to out where it's hitting the sidelines, too hard where it's going out, or
I think
too
Sane did that like 3 times.
too soft that the defender is literally just there and just scoops it up like nothing. Even passes straight to Rudiger, straight to Nacho Carvajal, which was just terrible from Bayern Munich on the counter. And Borussia Dortmund is really good at getting these counters and being precise with going forward.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
agree.
something that they're way better than Bayern Munich at. Another thing is that they defend much better than Bayern Munich. They defend in a block scheme, and they get it done really well in the terms that the other team is not really able to penetrate. We saw them penetrate a lot versus PSG, but in moments of disparity where they're shooting from 25, 30 yards out, Vitinha hits the crossbar like that. But a team like that is really hard to penetrate when you're playing in a one-legged final, because there's no going back to the Bernabeu. This is it. I see there's a probability that Dortmund win, but then again, you are facing Real Madrid.
Yeah. So let's phrase the question this way: if you had to put your money on it, let's say if you're gonna bet on it, where would you put your money? Like what's a safe bet, basically?
Seeing that Bayern Munich was able to get 3 goals in Real Madrid across 2 legs and 1 goal at the Bernabeu, I would bet that Dortmund are able to score, whether it be off a set piece or any other way, shape, or form. They're able to put a goal away. And I feel like they defend much better than Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid struggled with that. So I would put my money, if I had to put my money, I would put on Bayern Munich, because the percentage,
Borussia?
the payback percentage would be if I put on Borussia Dortmund, and the payback percentage would be crazy. I mean, it's not even just that. I feel like they actually have a chance of winning this.
I think so too. I think if they go in with the same energy that they came in to that game against PSG, why wouldn't they be able to win it? I mean, the same thing could very well happen where on the day Madrid aren't clinical, and Bayern Munich did defend well for most of the game up until that Neuer blunder. So I think his name is Gromel, the goalkeeper for Borussia Dortmund. Yeah. If he's on his A game, which he has been throughout this whole season, I don't see why he would slip up during this game. I mean, knock on wood, I'm not gonna jinx it now. Yeah. But yeah, I think if they performed the way they did against PSG, I think they very well can do it against Real Madrid. Now, if I were to put money on it, say like I have my house on the line or something, I would go Madrid just because that's like the safe option. But as a football fan, as a neutral fan, I would want to see Borussia Dortmund win. I want to see Marco Reus get that beautiful send-off. I think it would be a much more marketable story. It would bring more attention to the Champions League versus all Madrid just win the 15th over. I mean, like, come on, where's the story in that? It's like the same person winning the same thing over and over again. It kind of gets repetitive and boring.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to see someone new.
Madrid's always been a club that prioritizes the Champions Leagues, which with no disrespect, but they've just never had the depth to win the treble. Or when was the last time that Madrid's even won a double? It has to be a while back.
I don't know.
But
I have to check.
the thing with the Champions League is that Madrid's won so much, and it's just annoying to some point where it's like, how are they winning again? Well, because Bayern Munich's prioritizing the Bundesliga every year, the Pokal. Barcelona prioritizes La Liga every season. City this year, we really saw that they were just dead from this Premier League race,
Mhm.
and they got ran out by Real Madrid. Real Madrid wins their La Liga. Would this be the first time in a long time that Real Madrid wins a double?
I mean, I don't. It's not the first time. I'm pretty sure there was a few years back. If I'm not mistaken, it might be that 21-22 season when the last time they won La Liga is the
Yeah.
same season they won the Champions League. But I would have to double check that. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, going back to the prediction at Wembley, I want to see Borussia Dortmund win. So I'm gonna go Borussia Dortmund winning. I don't see Real Madrid not scoring. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 1-1 draw going into extra time, and then this is gonna go all the way to penalties and Borussia Dortmund getting the win in penalties.
Yeah. I think there's just a little bit more excitement behind that. I'd say that Borussia Dortmund gets a goal maybe by Fulkrug or some other set piece type of play, 1-0, and just is able to close it out defensively. I think that'd be like the best storyline that I could picture.
All
Get a
right,
goal.
well, we'll see what happens. I think the final is later on this month, but yeah, that kind of wraps up the UEFA Champions League semifinals. Thank you, Tomas, for always being a part. I appreciate you. Make sure to follow us on socials, our personals on socials. Make sure to follow us on CharlaFootball. That's CHARLA football. And we'll see you on the next one.
Have a good